49 days of living in hell. All of our sacrifice, prep work, setbacks, all of the purpose and what ifs, it all came down to this one gut-wrenching moment. Would we rise like the fools who dared to believe, or watch our dreams crumble from a gamble that was too big to win? On day one, we spent our entire life savings on this boat, with dreams of it taking us around the world. The first catamaran that Sasha and I could finally afford. It's totally dry on the inside, the structure was perfect, the numbers made sense. All we gotta do is flip it over, sell our current boat, and put the money into this one. So we rolled the dice, bought it as is, and got to work. What was supposed to be a week turned into 49 days, every morning waking up in the same nightmare. We thought the bugs and the heat were the least of our worries, until I caught dengue and was shaking in bed with a 103-degree fever for a week. We battled looters and thieves, and although they got our engines and many big-ticket items, there was still plenty to protect. Of course, our boat was the furthest in the mangroves and the easiest target. We saw cranes come and go, some too small, others just ghosts of empty promises. And we even had one come out for an entire day but couldn't lift the boat. Every setback chipped away at our soul. Every sunset felt like a ticking clock. Every high tide washed away a little bit more of our progress. And every day we even questioned whether we'd get out of here at all. But on day 49, we decided we had had enough of this mental insanity. So we devised a new plan with the previous crane to flip this boat once and for all. It was finally time to escape this nightmare. Day 64.
I think we've said that before.
Did we?
I think you need to add 10 days to it.
Day 74. We're gonna make a run to Patty's Lumber, try to get some plywood, because the same crane that couldn't do the job the last time thinks that they can drag the boat, get it closer, and then we'll be able to lift it. So for that, we're gonna have to buy some plywood and cut down some more mangroves. So we're gonna go get a chainsaw and get some plywood. Actually see how much this plywood costs, because probably about $300-400 a sheet here on this island.
Good morning.
What's up, man?
So we're here at Patty's right now, hardware store here in Carriacou, and they have 3/4-inch form ply, which is used for flooring, I guess. So
sounds heavy.
So we're probably gonna get a couple sheets, and that should protect the salon roof. Fingers crossed, at least.
Since this plywood was going to be thrown in the mangroves and have a boat drug across it, we didn't need anything special. Luckily, they had a dozen sheets of plywood in the back that were too damaged to sell, so they sold them to us at a discount.
So what was the total?
I think it was $1,035 EC, divided by 3.
$350, which is a lot cheaper than I thought, honestly. I thought that was how much 2 or 3 sheets were gonna cost.
Well, we got everything. We're gonna head back to the boat, load it in the dinghy, and get it to the mangroves.
Luckily, the crane crew saw us unloading all the plywood and offered to take it out on the barge tomorrow morning. This saved us the massive inconvenience of loading it up in the dinghy and taking it out to the mangroves. But we still had to make the trip out to the catamaran to prep for the new plan, so we took off to go get started.
So right now, this is another guy here that's been trying to get this boat flipped. It's upside down, it's a Kevlar boat. So what they're gonna do is try to lift it straight up and pump the water out as they're lifting it, and then rotate it in the air. Every one of these boats is a different case, and it takes a lot of brainstorming before they can do anything. And then what? Are we gonna go again?
And then we're gonna try again.
Try again.
We want to roll our boat in, but it might break the hardtop this time, but I'm kind of at the point where I don't care. We might have a convertible catamaran.
That'll be new. Want that one?
That's bad.
Round 1069.
Yeah. Time to chainsaw again.
Should be the last and final time. Pretty much he has to chainsaw all this flat, and on the front, and this right here.
Right now the plan is to turn the boat right here, flip the boat so this side dunks in the water, but that means all the weight's gonna be resting on the saloon roof, and that makes me very nervous. At this point, I've probably been chainsawing mangroves for a combined total of 20 hours. Typically, I like to cut them at low tide, but this is the last day, so now I gotta try to cut them as low as possible without getting the chainsaw wet. With the new plan, the mangroves have to be cut low and even so the plywood can lay on them, which in turn will help the boat slide easier.
Okay, so tomorrow, once the crane picks up the boat, they're gonna have to pick up the mast next, and we're gonna try to salvage the top of the mast. We think that there's another section in the yard, the lower part. We may be sleeving the mast. We're gonna try to keep it as together as possible. Anything that's loose is coming off. Nice, that was easy. So this wire was cut. Ideally what we wanted to do was have the exact wires so we could bring it into a rigger and they could cut the exact same length and then we could just swap it out ourselves. But I'm thinking that since it's been cut and pieces are everywhere, we might just have to measure from scratch.
Like I was saying, the top 3/4 of this mast are in perfect condition, so we were hoping to salvage it and sleeve it with another piece of mast that we found in the yard. But if we cut it at the bend, it was gonna act like a seesaw on the spreader and bounce up and scratch the boat. So I decided to remove as much rigging as possible, and we were gonna deal with the mast once the boat was moved. Between chainsawing and the rigging, this lasted the rest of the day.
Well, it's 5:30 in the morning, and we're going to attempt to flip the boat one more time with this crane. But we have to go and beat the crane out there. They're giving the guys a half a day, so they're gonna try to get this done by noon, which means it's gonna be an early start, and we have to go finish cutting down some more mangroves before the guys get out there. So.
But I don't have dengue.
Yeah, but Ralph doesn't have dengue, and he's not a zombie this time.
We're doing it. This time, the boat will be flipped.
Yep. But we'll be right side up. But right now, we're just loading everything into the dinghy and heading out. Coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet, but this is gonna happen regardless, so let's load up.
Coffee. Right? Okay.
Nice. Load it up. That it?
Yeah. All those long days, short nights, endless amounts of setbacks, and wondering if we were ever going to get out of here. But today was different. It almost felt like the universe knew that too. We had made this trip out to the catamaran 100 times, each time with a 1,000-yard stare. But this time we were taking it in as if it was our last. Somewhere between the wrecked hulls and tangled masts, we could finally see the beauty in it all. The silence, the scars, the progress, the way Mother Nature was already reclaiming what was rightfully hers, and today we were going to lighten her with one less burden. Today we weren't just flipping a boat, we were flipping an entire chapter.
We just got a notification. I got the camera working last night. There was another boat here yesterday floating. It was like a 47, I don't know, some catamaran. And they flipped it yesterday, but the night before, some looters had come and grabbed the props. So we were really worried that someone was gonna try to grab the last remaining valuable items out of the boat before we flipped it today. So anyways, might as well get to it. Sun's almost over the mountain.
When the crane arrived, they told me I needed to clear more mangroves. And the flatter I could get them, the better the plywood would lay down and the less damage we would have on the cat just in case we had to drag it. Don't worry, these mangroves will grow back, and a lot better once we get this boat out of here. They're so dense they actually sink, so I was tossing them right off the edge because it's pretty much a vertical wall that goes 8 to 10 foot deep.
Well, we're nearly ready for the crane. It's sitting there behind us. They're taking care of a mast that was on the bottom. They flipped a cat yesterday, so they're grabbing the mast from the cat before they come over to us. Ross still chainsawing. But we pretty much got all this cleared up. They're gonna pivot the boat right here, so that back corner, we wanna make sure it's not gonna get caught. Getting pretty close to flip time. Okay, so at this point we've pretty much cut all the ropes. We've cleaned up back here, cleared out, so when this back corner turns, it's not gonna catch anything. We've cut all the ropes just so nothing snags. And then the last thing is now Ralph cut all the mangroves in the front. So I actually have access to the wires where they come out and go into the boom, electrical and coax cables. So I'm reaching underneath and cutting them because when this boat moves, we want it completely detached from the mast and we don't want it to drag the mast with it. So I'm sure the wires would break, but I don't want them to rip out of the boat either from wherever they are. So I managed to get some access to them, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut them right now. And then I think pretty much ready. The crane is over there finishing up their other job, and then they're gonna head over here, and pretty much all we have to do is put plywood down to slide the boat on. So in the next couple hours, it's gonna be floating and upright. Okay, you can see right there are the wires, so I'm gonna try to cut those. That's it. Okay, we're disconnected here.
All the wires at the mast?
All of them.
Well, I had finally done it. I cut these mangroves lower than a crab's nutsack and smoother than that root that peeped into my back door the other week. The crane crew was whistling at us saying they were ready. So ready or not, it was time for them to come over and flip this boat.
We're ready for the guys.
So we have the crane out. All the mangroves have been cleared. It's time. I have a good feeling. I think we're going to be able to get this done. So we're about to go over the plan right now, the lift plan. There's a couple different options. We might have to dunk the hull. Unfortunately, we don't have a crane as big as we'd like, so we might sustain some damage, but at this point, Sasha and I have been going crazy. We've just been sitting here for like 2 months guarding the boat, and we'd rather see it flipped over with some scratches than sitting here upside down, slowly melting into the mangroves. But our main concern right now is trying to figure out a way so we don't damage the saloon roof. So, about to talk about that right now.
Are we neat, right, so far? Which means we'll have almost the whole pontoon will be in the water on the side here.
Right. So you want to grab that pontoon with that on the apex on the pontoon.
basket, yes.
Right. Also, there's no way that we could pass the strap like how we did the other one because of the glass.
Yeah.
Right,
it can't run so.
No, it can't.
Right, so we wanted to run so, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
One on that side, one on that side. On that pontoon. So the plywood hits there and here. So we gotta protect that.
You gotta make it happen, man.
So I'm up on the barge right now. I'm gonna have front row seats to the show. Get you guys some front row seats too. I just got a little safety briefing, told me where I can and can't go, but I'm just gonna sit right here on the front and watch the show go down.
There was a lot of weight resting on an area of the boat that wasn't meant to support this kind of weight, the saloon roof. And it would be a massive undertaking to fix it if it were to collapse under the pressure. Before sliding the boat, we were going to see if we could lift it one more time with a different approach, but we laid out the plywood just in case we had to slide it and pivot the boat around to get the boom closer.
The plywood's down for the boat to slide on, but their biggest concern is the saloon roof and the windows. They're going to try their absolute best not to crack the windows, but we don't want it to affect the structure of the saloon roof. I believe they're going to put some bags underneath to help roll it and have a softer roll. Like I said, their biggest concern is those windows and the saloon roof, which is very comforting that they're that conscious about those things, because that's the one thing we've been extremely worried about as well. That would really not be fun to repair and replace. Not at all.
They passed over some bags to help roll the boat and ease the load off the hardtop. But these are not lift bags, they're float bags designed to float boats that have sunk underwater, so they're not as thick as a lift bag, meaning they could puncture very easily. We have to make do with what we've got because it's tough to get supplies down here in the Southern Caribbean. Okay, now they want to lay the whole boat on the weeds over there. I can do a whole flip, so I'm going to take the other rudder out. Let's see if we can protect that. Of course, the sail drive's still going to be there. I don't like this plan. I had to remove the rudder just in case it got broken during the flip. As far as the rudder tube goes, it's taller than the water line, so no water will pour into this hole once the boat is floating. The part I was worried about was the bottom half of the sail drive. I guess the new plan was to flip the boat over into the weeds and then drag it in the water, meaning if the sail drive seal broke, we would have a big hole in the bottom of our boat. Got it out. Sail drive's still in there. We're gonna let it ride, see what happens. We had everything into position and it was now time to hook up the straps.
You ready?
With the new plan, the crane was now positioned closer to the catamaran. The further out the crane boom is extended, the less amount the crane can lift. So that means if the boom is all the way up and the barge is as close to the catamaran as possible, then the crane will have the maximum amount of lifting power. Well, it was the moment of truth. Our guts were wrenching, our hearts were pounding, the straps were tight, and it was time to see if this new plan would work. This was hard to watch, hard to film, and even harder to listen to. The higher it got, the less it felt like progress, and the more it felt like we were holding our breaths waiting for disaster. Unfortunately, it was too much for this crane to handle, so the operator had to let it down one more time, and we had to go back to the drawing board. Before resorting to sliding the catamaran on the plywood, we decided to remove the float bags and try to lift the boat again and allow it to roll over on the salon roof. This would prevent the crane from having to pick up the bulk of the weight, but it would risk damaging the saloon roof, which is the last thing we wanted to do.
Well, they just had the boat about 10 feet in the air. Oh my God, my stomach was like twisting. They're trying to flip the boat, but they're not sure on the load, so they tested the load. They put about 8 tons of load on the hull. They had to take the bags out. Now they're trying to lift it so they can flip it onto the one side. I think they're worried that it's gonna hit the barge. So they're working it out. They're trying to figure out the best possibility. But man, my stomach is turning. I'm nervous.
A lot of pops and creaks on that flip.
A lot of pops and creaks.
Did not sound good.
Take 3. Oh my God, my stomach is twisting. My stomach is... I think I might be sick. Oh my God, why am I so nervous? Oh my God. Oh my God, I need to put this on my head.
Even with the bags removed, the crane was still not strong enough to roll the boat over, which left us with one last option. We were going to have to twist the boat sideways on the plywood and then use the massive winch on the front of their barge to roll the boat over. The mere thought of this was absolutely terrifying, but we had no other options. It was already 1 o'clock and we had been out here for 7 hours, not to mention the first attempt last week when we did the same thing. And the last thing we were going to do is call this off and sit here in the mangroves for another 2 months praying for a bigger crane, because the chances of it even getting back in the mangroves are very slim. So they picked up the spuds with the crane to reposition the barge for our final attempt.
So they're moving the boat now. They're gonna have to drag it closer to the edge of the mangroves and then flip it there because it's a bit too heavy.
And then just before we took a lunch break, they moved the generator to the front of the boat, which powers the winch.
Well, the guys on this boat are so nice. I hopped in the dinghy to go get some lunch, and they're like, no, we got you. Look. Anyway, it's a full meal, and it's excellent.
Very good.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you so much. And then time to try again.
After a quick bite to eat, we immediately rigged it back up and started winching the catamaran inch by inch until it was perched on the edge of the mangroves. From our angle, it looked like it could slide into the water with the slightest nudge. We were praying that the operator had a steady hand and the edge of the mangroves were strong enough to hold the weight of the boat. The plan now was to tie the boat off to the mangroves and use the winch to roll the boat over into the water. It would pivot on the corner of the saloon roof and it would dunk the port side of the boat, but all the holes were plugged, the hatches were closed, and it shouldn't stay like that for long.
So right now they have their massive winch on the front of the barge attached to the stern of the boat, which is how they pivoted it. They now have it parallel to the water. I guess they're going to use that same winch to pull it over. Extremely nerve-wracking right now. Very, very nerve-wracking, but it is significantly closer to getting flipped. At least that's what it looks like, the way it's sitting right now. Moved it. The boom seems to have moved with the boat. I'm trying to see if it's tied on anywhere. Don't see anything. But I guess we'll just see what it does when the boat goes over.
The crane crew tossed over the biggest ropes they had while a few of the guys went to go look for something to tie them off to. As long as the ropes hold and the roots don't get ripped out of the ground, then eventually once the stretch is out of the line, in theory the catamaran should start to roll over and flip right side up. But how much of the boat is going to get dunked in water before it starts to roll? The stress is real right now. I do not like this plan at all. Pretty much like a last resort plan here, where you can't find a crane that is big enough that can fit back here in these mangroves. And right now we are about to try to flip it with the winch on the front of this boat, which is not ideal. And if any of those ropes slip or break, then the whole thing's gonna get flooded. So it's happening any minute now. I've got the drone up. It's only got 20 minutes of battery life left, and I'm hoping that they try it within the next 20 minutes. Here we go.
Going for it. They're going!
As they started tensioning the winch, we could see the cat inching towards them and the rope beginning to stretch. Watching it here on the drone screen, it's happening right in front of me. This is nerve-wracking as hell.
Well, I'm officially sick to my stomach. This is not how this is supposed to be going. The boat's about to literally be in the water, which is exactly what we didn't want. I need to put it back down.
I don't know if they have the strength. Come on.
I don't like this at all. I don't like this. This isn't gonna work. This isn't working. This isn't working. Babe, can you have him? Oh no, oh no, 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 no.
All we could do is hope that any second the boat would start to roll over.
I guess it was a risk. Can you push the hole out?
Push the rod.
Push it. Give it gas. Give it gas. More. Well, this is like, really don't want to cry, but I do. This is like heartbreaking because I tried so hard to get this boat ready to flip it and didn't want to get it wet. And yeah, I guess it is what it is, but I just can't look at it right now.
All of that hard work, gone in a matter of seconds. This now went from a 3-month rebuild to a 2-year refit. We had the inside absolutely spotless, perfectly dry. We had the ceilings cut out and every square inch of it was cleaner than the factory. The generator only had 300 hours on it. There was a refrigerator and multiple AC units. Every cabinet hinge, every drawer slide, Every fuse, switch, ceiling light, and every wire on that boat will now have to be stripped out and replaced. All I could really tell myself was that it was just time and money, two things we've never really had anyways. I knew this wasn't the end, and I knew we'd be okay. This was just a speed bump, and we've always been more tougher than smart. But honestly, it didn't matter what I said, because watching that boat sink took a piece of us with it.
Like I really feel like crying right now, because I'm just like, I don't know if I'm just mad that I felt so much hope.
You're allowed to cry.
I know, but I don't want to. I'm so excited.
It's gonna be okay.
Well, we haven't escaped these mangroves just yet, and it looks like we're going to be working well into the night just to get it flipped over and get the water pumped out. But I don't know what's going to be more difficult, cleaning up the carnage or waking up tomorrow and realizing that this isn't all just a bad dream. I guess the only good thing that comes with hitting rock bottom is you can only go up from here. But who knows? Maybe this all happened for some reason that we can't foresee yet. Maybe this is the way it was supposed to be written. I mean, no one likes a perfect fairy tale anyways, so maybe now we have a story worth telling. All we know is that time will eventually heal, our pain will subside, and one day we will emerge victorious, because winners never quit. For all of you who came to watch a catamaran get flipped, congratulations. You got your show. But for the rest of us, this story has just begun. Well guys, I know that was a tough episode to watch because it was a very tough episode to edit and have to relive. We knew the chances we were taking when we bought this boat, but unfortunately we were reminded about the harsh realities of taking those massive gambles, and we struck out. You know, you can't hit a home run unless you swing, but the harder you swing, the harder you strike out, and that was one hell of a strikeout for us. However, our heads are high. We're gonna see this through. We can't thank everyone enough for all your positive comments, for your emails, for reaching out. Like, it means the world that we have your support, and also for entering our giveaway. Yes, we are giving away our boat. For anyone who doesn't know, we're off to a good start. We would love to cover the cost of the boat before we give it away. This is just another massive gamble we're taking, and we see it as a win-win for everyone. We could potentially raise the funds to rebuild this catamaran, which is gonna be exponentially more expensive than we ever imagined, and we can launch one of you guys into the cruising world when you literally step foot on our sailboat as the new owner. We don't want your sympathy entries, but you can head over to our website if you haven't entered and you want a chance to win the spirit animal as well as support this catamaran rebuild. That would be awesome. We will be choosing the winner in the first week of August. It will be drawn at random, so no, this is not rigged. We've got a full legal team, 100% legal. We are very excited about this, and we would love nothing more than to see our boat go to someone who is deserving, a family looking for an adventure, a fellow sailor looking to upgrade, or even someone that was in our shoes 2 years ago doing everything they could to try to get their hands on a boat.
And on top of that, these risks we're taking and editing these episodes are only made possible by the constant support of our patrons. We honestly cannot thank you guys enough for standing there with us and all the positive vibes. It really truly helps us continue this journey, and we can't thank you guys enough. Also, you guys can help us out by liking this video, subscribing, commenting, let us know what you think. Give us some advice if you have any, and we'll see you guys here again next week on Spirit Animal.